physics and the equations pretty light for us. But the thing is, a lot of people, when we get stuck on the idea that there's no way of fixing sleep apnea, that does not involve a CPAP or a surgery or witchcraft, maybe not witchcraft, but the idea is like we just feel it's not even possible to overcome this thing. Okay? That's how I felt. Because when you get told you have sleep apnea, you feel like something's wrong with you, you feel like you just got a sentence, and you feel like all the options in front of you are, you don't even want them as options. It's like showing up to a restaurant and like, hey, what do you want to eat? Do you want to eat like a taco filled with hair, or do you want to eat a sandwich filled with like, spoiled mayonnaise? Okay. And I think those are probably a little bit more appetizing than CPAP for most people. At least from, I'll just speak for myself on that one. But the thing is, when we don't understand the mechanics of why this happens, how we got here in the first place, then it seems like we're absolutely stuck and we just feel like we have no other option but to accept this like drudgery through every single day where we feel like, okay, this is just how things are. Gotta keep pushing, just gotta get through, just like whatever it may be, it just becomes this like frustrating existence where we feel like whether it is this irritable version of ourselves, this part of us that just like isn't productive, has no motivation. That is not how things need to be. There is so much more ahead of you when you understand many of these concepts, such as breathing, velocity here. Okay? So, and as you understand this, in terms of using this as well, because I just don't want to give you like a bunch of physics equations and like, okay, well, good luck out there and be able to break it down something that's super actionable for you. So, breathing, velocity, here we go. Okay? And no, I have not drank 3 espressos today or even one. This is just how I am. I think it was always high energy, but being able to sleep is pretty helpful. So, breathing velocity. How did you get here? Okay, let's answer that. How did you get here? Okay, think of that like dot on a map, right? How did you get here? Now you got here. I mean, I don't know where you're watching this to be honest, but through a phone or probably a computer or something like that. How'd you get sleep apnea, right? We're all told the same thing. There's something with our airways, right? Oh, it's our uvula, it's our tonsils, it's a floppy tongue. It's only when we lay on one position, right? But all of that hinges around an anatomical issue, okay? Which is true, okay? That's true. But it's a half truth. It's only part of the story. And when you only have part of the story, you're not going to get anywhere near the results that you want based on that theory. Okay? Because if it was just an anatomical issue, okay? Let's see if I got this pulled up. I think I do. Oh, I do. Okay, great. If it's just an anatomical issue, okay, let's look at a few things here. Stanford School of Medicine, I think they know something. Maybe just a little bit. But when they talk about this surgery, which I'll be honest, I mean, in my doctor friends make fun of me for not being able to pronounce anything. I just can't. English has escaped me for all of my years. But when they do this surgery, which is essentially think about taking like a rotor router, just kind of like snipping out. If you look in someone's mouth and say if you just cut everything out that you can see, that's basically what this surgery is. Okay, taking off or shaving down some of the uvula, the little thing that drops down, the top part, the palate there. Okay, that's what that means. And pharyngo, that would be kind of the back of the mouth, kind of remodeling, taking all that stuff out here. Okay, cure rate of this, and we'll define cure rate. Well, let me do that first, so this doesn't sound. Do I have it written up here? Okay, the cure rate is defined as a 50% reduction in symptoms. 8 to 31% of people have that from literally taking out the thing there. That's not really great odds, okay? We talk about nasal surgery, which I just talked about recently. Even worse, okay? Looked at a bunch of studies, 21 all combined, found there was no significant reduction in AHI, okay? If you do a sleep study before and after nasal surgery, no difference, my friend. Right. So, is it really anatomy? It is. Okay. Let me see if I have it on this page here. Well, I don't want to give away the answer here. Is that, oh, here we go. Here's some more. All right. So another study found, in case you're wondering, do I just have pages of a bunch of studies? Yes, I do. This is what I do for fun. I'm not sure what you do for fun. But uh, when you look at studies where they try to figure out, okay, what's normal anatomy, right, for airways? And you can imagine these studies are really fun. You just look into the back of people's mouths for days on end. Glad I didn't do that study. But they found, okay, 60 to 80% of adults have narrowings in their airways that you would see with sleep apnea. Yet, what do we see here? This is from the Journal of American Medical Association. Okay, 13% of men, 6% of women are confirmed with, well, estimated to be firmly diagnosed with sleep apnea. Wait, let's just lump that together and say 10%. Okay, 10% have sleep apnea. 60 to 80% have narrowings in their airways. Something not match up here. Okay, the answer is no, Dr. Dillon, it does not. So, why is that? Well, we need to talk about sufficient versus necessary. Okay, necessary is it's a required ingredient, okay, of something, right? Like you need wood to make a fire, okay? But it's not sufficient, okay? You just don't get a piece of wood and it spontaneously combusts and you have a campfire, okay? You need other things. So, an anatomical narrowing of your airway is well, in most cases, is a necessary part because some people have sleep apnea, have no narrowings. Talk about that in a second. It's necessary, but it's not sufficient, okay? Because again, what happens here is, say you have an airway. This is a very crude representation. You have something here. I don't know. Floppy tongue. Let's just say this is the floppy tongue. Here. Floppy tongue flops back. Okay. Good old floppy tongue. Not sure why that's so fun to say, but it is. And then now your airway is more narrow. A few times I talk about this equation here. Okay. And this is an adaptation of the equation, but essentially it's airway resistance here is inversely proportional to this. Okay? So what that means is, as this number gets bigger on the bottom, okay, let's say this is like 1 million. 1 over 1 million is very small. Resistance is very low. Okay? Let's say this number is small. Then this number is bigger. Okay? So the point being, smaller radius of an airway, smaller straw, more resistance to airflow. Try breathing through a small straw. Okay? Now, with that, when you have a floppy tongue, it's going to drop the radius. That's going to increase the resistance. Okay? And anytime you have resistance to airflow, your body still wants the same amount of oxygen. It's going to over breathe. Okay? That is one of the pinnacles of sleep apnea here. Okay? So it's anatomy and then over breathing. Okay? Now you have some people, okay, who they don't have any of the risk factors. They're not overweight. They don't have a big neck. None of those things. They just have sleep apnea. Crazy. It's because overbreathing is sufficient and necessary for sleep apnea. So anatomy does increase your risk, but it really increases your risk to develop overbreathing to then give you sleep apnea. Because at the end of the day, sleep apnea is a subcategory of a disease. Okay? Disordered breathing. Okay? Because like if I don't have the chart with me, but if you look at it, it's disordered breathing is up here. DO breathing. Okay? And then there's all these different things, and then there's nighttime disordered breathing. And then there's sleep apnea. So It's a breathing problem, okay? That can be precipitated by an anatomy problem. So just because you think it's an anatomy thing, or like you've had a primary care doctor, a sleep medicine specialist, and a surgeon all look you in the eye and say it's an anatomy issue, okay? Or it may be an anatomy issue, like, when I was having those conversations long, long ago. There's more to it, because if their surgeries worked 100%, we both wouldn't be here, okay? Whether you've already had that, or maybe this can steer you towards something that's actually going to serve you, all right? So, back to breathing velocity here, okay? Because we were talking about how'd you get here. Basically, something led you to overbreathing, because again, it's very common to have these here, and then overbreathing can develop from that, okay? Whether it's poor sleep, a lot of stress in your life, perhaps even poor nutrition, really stressing yourself out, all those different things can lead to inflammation that trigger the overbreathing, right? Okay, now, airway velocity. Let's bring up this. Because when you're overbreathing, velocity is too high, okay? Overbreathing, high velocity breathing. Okay, it's not what we want. So here is this study here. Of course, everyone's favorite thing to read, computer modeling and engineering sciences, turbulent kinetic energy of flow during inhale and exhale. Such a great bedtime story. If you got young kids, like this will just like really, just good stuff here. So with this, when they look at, okay, what is the velocity of airflow, it's not this just like all very sort of similar thing, okay? Because air is actually a Newtonian fluid. What the heck does that mean? So what that means is that it behaves like water, okay? It's a Newtonian fluid. It behaves like many fluids, okay? It sounds weird because it's air. It's not like, oh man, all this air is getting in the way like water. But it behaves the same from a physics perspective, okay? So think of a river. Does it ever just like flow all continuously at the same rate? No, you see like these little eddies and like little streams and all these little things and stuff. Same thing for air, okay? And you'll find that there will be these pockets of high velocity airflow. All right? And guess what? This is where the block happens, where your airways will just kind of snap shut. So let me kind of diagram this here. So let's say you have like your little obstruction here, little airway thing. You have this high velocity air in here, and then what this will do is when it reaches a certain velocity, it'll bring the walls close together here. And then you'll have a narrowing, and then it'll kind of be like hard, if not impossible to breathe, and then you'll have an apneic event. And then you're doing this 5, 10, 15, 20 times a night, or you're having to use a CPAP, because guess what? A CPAP just uses brute force to keep this thing open. All right? Because the reason this happens, and we're really getting the physics here, is when you have high velocity in an area, it creates a pressure difference. Okay? And we'll do a little Pac-Man mouth up here. That looks more like a Pez dispenser. Anyway, so here's the bottom of the Pez dispenser, and here's the top. But essentially, as you inhale, okay, that's when blocks happen. High velocity here. What it does, it increases the pressure here, and it makes a low pressure here. Okay? This is what happens. And when there's a pressure gradient, then this will create another force that brings this in here. Okay? Now, I know that, like, okay, physics super approachable here. So let's kind of look at something here. A window, a curtain, or a shower you can think of. Okay? Because essentially, when you have high, like a wind comes by this window, let's say it goes this way, right across it, it's going to cause a pocket of low pressure to pull the curtain in the direction of the gust, the wind here, okay? Or if you think about it, if you ever like been standing on a road and you have like a truck drive by pretty close to you, after the truck passes, you feel you get pulled in because there was a local pocket of low pressure that pulled you in. Okay? It's known as Bernoulli's equation or Bernoulli's law here. But this is why, fundamentally, people do not know why sleep apnea can be fixed just by adjusting your breathing. Because what we're told to do, we already went over surgery, but also using a CPAP just to do the following. It gets rid of this low pressure area and keeps this high pressure. So then it gets rid of this urge to pull something in. That's one way to fix the problem. The other way to fix the problem is to just lower this pressure or lower the velocity of your breathing at night. Okay? And how you do this is by lowering the velocity of your breathing during the day. Okay? Because a lot of people are like, wait, but like, how does doing stuff during the day help me at night? How? Is it witchcraft? Is it voodoo? Is it wishful thinking? No, it's just how your body works. Because when you have a certain breathing pattern, because your breathing pattern originates from your brain, okay? It's a set of neural pathways. It becomes a pattern, okay? There's a reason why anxious people, or people who are overwhelmed all the time, or stressed out all the time, they will have a certain breathing pattern, even when they're not anxious and stressed out. Because when they do get anxious, they start to create this neural pathway, okay? So even when there's not this emotional stressor, guess what happens? They continue to do this kind of shallow, fast breathing, okay? You can use this to your advantage. And this is why you can beat sleep apnea naturally here. Because when you work to slow down your breathing during the day, okay, whether it's box breathing, rectangle breathing, all these different things, if you aim to do that, then this will reduce breathing velocity. And you will create a new neural pathway of breathing. Yes, you did this during the day, but then it transfers into the night. That's why when someone, whether they get our book or they're working with us, like when we slow down their breathing velocity, this is something you notice the effects of pretty quickly. Okay, and this is actually best done right before bed. Okay, so whether it's box breathing again, that's 5 inhale, 5 pause, 5 exhale, 5 pause, or rectangle breathing, which is simply stretching this out. Okay, 5 inhale, 10 pause, 5 exhale, 10 pause. All this does is just slows down your breathing. Okay, this is why we're breathing through your nose, breathing through pursed lips like this. Okay, that's why this is helpful. Okay, I think one day I'm gonna make a collection of all the funny faces I make trying to describe breathing in these videos. It would be a hoot. And as you do this, this is what allows you to fix this problem. Okay? You get rid of this high velocity area, and you don't have this block anymore in your Pez dispenser or your mouth at night. Okay? All better. And when you're able to do that, it just becomes so much easier to breathe and so much easier to sleep. Okay, and all you need to do is just to decide to do something about it, right? Like do this, like I talked about, and just taking like one step, like one conscious decision to really hone in and slowing down your breathing. Or another thing, you catch yourself during the day, kind of breathing fast, just slow it down, right? Because then you're just changing up that neural pathway so that at night you don't have this high velocity breathing. Okay, super super important. Because when you just make that decision to focus on that one factor here, it can completely, it's not going to change everything overnight, okay? Pun intended. But it will allow you to break the cycle of always having bad sleep and start to give you that clear path out of, yes, you can fix this without a device, surgery, plastic. You have everything in your body to fix this. And once you do, the choices in front of you become so much better, right? Like, what do you want to do in the morning? Because the mornings aren't this like big rush thing that feel like you're just trudging through mud to get off the work, right? Or what do you want to do after work? Because when you're sleeping well, whether it's after work or on the weekend, like you have that ability to decide what you want to do, all from by deciding just to decrease your breathing velocity. Okay, that simple. Okay, and again, a goal here when we're talking about slowing down breathing velocity, the more you can get this pause number, okay? Higher and higher, the better, okay? And honestly, being able to get this to, in rectangle breathing per se, just to give you a goal, to 20 seconds, okay? Okay, that didn't work well. 20 seconds. If you can do that, that means your breathing velocity will allow you to sleep so much more easily at night. Because once you are able to create this, if you're not using a CPAP right now, it can prevent those blockages. If you are using a CPAP, it will allow you to create this gradient so you don't need to rely on a CPAP as much. Obviously, I'm not telling you to come off a CPAP. Always work with your prescribing provider on that, okay? Or really whoever your medical supervisor is, okay? So that is breathing velocity here, and now you have a choice to breathe or not, because you're gonna breathe anyway. Just breathe a little bit more slowly, okay? And if you want to learn a bit more on this, well, some of the concepts we talked about, so like how you got here, dive into more of this on this episode here in the Sleep Apnea Freedom series. That's episode 1. And then talk more about breathing in 3. I talked about a lot of concepts here. And then also, well, if you get to episode 4, let's just shoot for episode 1 and 3. All right. Those will help you understand a little bit more about that. All right. Now, also, if you're someone who, just really a few things. Maybe you just want to not only fix your breathing velocity, but all the other factors really as quickly as you want. Because whether it is just you feel, I don't mean to be morbid, whether it's like time is ticking on your health, or just like the everyday existence of like, whether you're seeing yourself so exhausted, your family, whether it's like your wife had to see you like this, or your kids had to see you like this, you don't want to go one more day like this, then I want to be able to help you get out of that as quickly as possible. Because that is no way to go through life. When there is a way out of this that allows you to do things that would defy medical convention, but also that's kind of what you want at this rate. Because medical convention has brought you to where you are now. And being able to get back to where, whether it's 6 p.m., it's the whole weekend, you can be fully present with everyone around you and really be able to feel like yourself again. So if that's you and what you must have, okay, not like a nice to have, but like what you must have and who you must be, then what I want to offer you is not the sleep, apnea freedom series, which is ochnow.com SA freedom, but our free one-on-one evaluation call. Okay, and again, this is if you know you can beat this naturally, you're already taking action, you fully own your health, it's your top priority, then you can go to pull up the link here, ochnow.com/talk. Okay, so our one-on-one call, 45 minutes, talk about your issues, your goals, and try to figure out, okay, what are the paths to get you there? And if we can help, I'll walk you through all those details. But if not, I'll steer you to someone or something else and be very straightforward and honest with you on that. So that is ochnow.com/talk, and that will take you to this form. You just fill it out, and then you pick a day and time thereafter. Okay. And again, I forgot to mention the link to this. This is the Sleep Apnea Freedom series. That is all the way back here. ochnow.com SA freedom. All right. That's what that one is. All right. So either way, you win, my friends. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.